a good friend of mine has sent me a new airbrush. So I thought, why not make a quick video on how to prep a new airbrush? Here's a brand new airbrush. Now what we're going to do is completely dismantle the airbrush. If you're not confident in doing this, do a quick Google search and look for something like this. And this is pretty standard among all airbrushes. So we've got our airbrush. You may also need some plumbing tape and some very handy 3-in-1 machine oil you can get from any good hardware store or even your local retailer like Kmart or something like that. Let's take this little bugger apart. So I'm just going to unscrew the handle, loosen the needle chuck, and lightly twisting as I do, pull the needle out. Pull your needle straight out. Now this little screw here holds a spring forward, and it's what gives the trigger its leverage. So because this screw holds a spring, it's called a spring screw. I love how creative people who name things are. There's the spring I was talking about. How exciting is this? I love it. Cheeky little thing. Don't run away. Put that down. Now we should just be able to pull the trigger out. And this little wing lever, put that down there. Now the air valve, unscrew that. It's all coming apart pretty easily, which is, I don't know, good. I'll take off the crown. Hey, you just stay over there, mate. Play with your friend, the spring. And I'll unscrew the head assembly. Being very careful with this part because it houses your needle tip. It's probably the most expensive part of the airbrush. Now if I look closely at this tip, it looks as though it has a little rubber seal on it. So I probably shouldn't take that off. They've actually sealed it, but rules are made to be broken. Just grab the little spanner that comes in the kit and I'll align that. This little tip has a rubber O-ring. Now the reason you don't want to use rubber seals is because if you're using solvent-based paints, then they're going to eat straight through the rubber. So make sure that you get an airbrush that has Teflon seals, or the equivalent of a solvent-proof seal. So I've just cut off a tiny little slice of this plumbing tape and I've wrapped it. I think there's enough on there, and wrap it around nice and firm and screw that on lightly. Should feel a little bit more tension when you screw it on. Finger tight. Perfectly natural. You've just put plumbing tape on the thread. That's how to seal a tip. Now I think we're ready to put the airbrush back together. But as we do, going to use this machine oil to lubricate every thread. It's important to keep the airbrush lubricated because all your parts stay smooth. It keeps the steel on steel action lubricated and smooth, but it also seals any parts of the airbrush which may otherwise get an air leak. That means that your airbrush is going to last longer. Just enough so everything moves freely. As well as lubricating, it's easier to clean. There's so many advantages of doing this. Yeah, make sure you put the trigger in the right way and give it a couple of pumps. Oh yeah! Just put a bit of machine oil on the needle tube. Oh jeez, it's a lot. And we're going to put this spring back on the needle tube. A little bit of machine oil. Loves it. Yep, play around a bit. Woo! Grab the spring screw. Ooh, give that a couple of pumps. Got to put a tiny bit of machine oil in this back thread. It's not a tiny bit, that's a friggin' ton. And just screw that on lightly. I'm just going to, with my fingers, I'll just grease up this little wing lever a tiny bit and make sure you put that in the correct way. It just sits in there, loves life. Now holding the airbrush at this angle so that the wing lever doesn't fall forward, you're just going to screw in the spring screw. Just put a tiny bit of machine oil on that thread there, nice, and screw that right in, all the way, and loosen half a turn. And now we're just going to completely loosen the needle chuck. The second last thing to do is to just screw on your crown if you want to use it. Why is it named a crown? Because it looks like a crown. So I'm going to screw that on. That protects the needle. And lastly is the needle. Now this felt a little bit rough, so just put a little bit machine oil on my finger there and just rub it through, even on the end. Just loosen your needle chuck almost all the way, and I want you to put your little finger on the very edge of the needle chuck like this. Grab the needle with a steady hand, maybe rest against something. I want you to slowly guide the tip of the needle into the chuck. If you feel it hit anything, stop immediately and hit reverse. Now you notice as I am putting this needle back in that I'm twisting it. There's no need for that. But as soon as you can feel it hit the tip, Don't push it, don't put any pressure. Simply let it sit in the tip and tighten your needle chuck all the way. And that's it. And it feels a whole lot smoother now as well. It feels beautiful. Now if you ever have any problems and you can't figure out what's going on with your airbrush, go through the process that we've just done, including checking if anything is stuck in the tip, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to solve your problem just by re-lubricating every thread and sealing your tip. This is the best advice I can give you for how to maintain an airbrush. Look after your equipment and it will look after you. If you've picked up anything new or you feel that this is something that one of your friends could use, please share and spread the love. Till next time!